guys are so funny. You're trying to get me to do this stupid shit. And
She just whispered, "I'm a bad bitch," for anyone who didn't hear. Stop. 420.
I'm lit at Disney.
And the kids asleep in the bath.
There we go. A ball sack station.
That's what a business owner looks like. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Tattoo Homewreckers, a podcast where we talk about tattoos, life, and everything in between. My name is Callista, and this is my best friend, Lou.
Yes.
What are you smelling?
I don't know. I just smelled something weird. Is it you?
Is it my hands?
Oh. I don't know what it is. Whatever.
Okay. Well, I don't think I smell bad, but I might.
Oh, it's inside that drawer. We're still in the Airbnb.
Still getting used to it, clearly.
Yeah. I sat down and I was like,
There's that off smell.
There's a weird smell. And the inside of this drawer smells, when you get a whiff of it, it smells like wet dog. But if you put your whole nose in it, it smells like a hamster's nest.
Oh,
Smell
like
it.
Ew, like bedding.
Yeah,
Ew,
like bedding.
hamster
Yeah.
bedding. God, that's horrible. What is going on with that? Oh my
I
God,
don't know.
that was disturbing.
Yeah. So it is day
15, 16?
16?
I think it's 16.
16 in New Zealand.
Yeah. Day 16 in
So-
New Zealand. We have secured our rental property.
Mhm.
Very excited about that. We move in this weekend, technically.
Hopefully, yeah.
Hopefully
We're
this
waiting
weekend.
for our shipping container full of our household goods and our business goods.
Yes.
All of our like tool chests and stuff for the studio
Mhm.
and our furniture to get through customs, and then once they approve it, then they'll be able to deliver it.
Yep.
And it was supposed to arrive on Saturday. So we're just
Yes.
waiting for them to be cleared by customs,
Mhm.
and then they'll set up the date, and hopefully that will be next Saturday
Exactly.
because we secure our rental property on Friday.
Yep. And we bought mattresses. That's also
Mhm.
new. And our new couch.
Oh, dude, I'm so
Yes.
excited. We've had the same style couch now for about 6 years.
Mhm.
So I'm really excited to have like a new couch.
A different couch.
Yeah.
Yeah. New, different. I love the shape of it. It's also huge. We were all sitting on it and it seemed like I was like a mile away. Like there's
Yeah.
plenty of room for these two, me, my future spouse, and the dogs.
The dogs,
So,
yeah.
there's
And
that.
like no additional chairs are needed. Obviously, we have Guinness's chair that got shipped over.
Yes.
And then we have other furniture being shipped. But yeah, we can sit a million people on that couch.
For sure. And it was a steal.
Yeah, it was
So-
really cheap, and it doesn't look huge. And luckily, the house that we are renting is very American in the amount of square footage that it has.
Oh my God. Yeah. I'm so excited to show you guys what the house looks like because for the price as well, what they're asking for, also a fucking steal.
Yeah.
We toured a few properties that were less than half the size
Yes.
of this property and were still more expensive.
Yeah, where we were
So-
really concerned. Obviously, like Caboose is, a bigger dude, so I was really concerned about the fact that like we have to have a king size bed, otherwise his feet literally hang off.
Yep.
Which is funny to me, but not enjoyable to him.
Not
so we've
great for
been
him.
cramped on a queen since we left our house.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been a lot. And also, we were talking about this morning. I don't know what's up with like Airbnb like beds, but every Airbnb we've slept at, I think there's only ever been one that have been like, this is a good bed.
Yeah.
Otherwise, like for some reason, it's like they're made out of like just fluff. Like they have no support.
And I love a soft bed, but like even
You
my
do.
bed right now, I like can't like actually crack my back or anything like that. And I'm like, God, I've noticed this tension in my lower back. I'm getting older.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God. And it's built of cardboard and feathers. And
Yes, and it's just like air and a hope that
Yeah.
like it'll hold you while you sleep.
100%.
And our bed, if you lay in the center of it, you're good. But as there's two of us, we have to lay on either side, and then both of us are just falling off the bed. Like
Yep.
it's just angled weird. So we are very excited to sleep in like beds that actually fit us
For sure.
and are in a place in which we can start to relax. Because it's also just weird living in an Airbnb, like it with someone else's things.
Yeah, I just can't get settled, which sucks. Like every time I want to get settled, I'm like, oh, dude, like, there's no point in you getting settled when you move into your new place next week, and also you just can't. There's this like mental blockade for me where it's like, I know we live in New Zealand now, but because we're still at an Airbnb, it's harder for me to be like, okay, I live here. You know what I mean? Like, it's that weird blockade. So I'm really excited to actually like move into a space and then be able to personalize it and make it feel like our home.
Yeah, we've ordered some like peel and stick wallpaper because obviously
Yes.
it's a rental. So that way we can like decorate and do like lots of just like making it nice and comfortable and feel like a home. But then when we move out in a couple years, we'll be able to like put it back to whatever state they want.
For sure. Exactly.
Which was also interesting because Caboose still apparently has like a lot of trauma around like rentals and like getting a deposit back. Not that we've ever not gotten a deposit, but it was interesting to me because he was like, that was like instilled in him of like, you can't make any modifications. And I have always been in the just paint it back white or whatever color they want you to paint it back.
Right.
And so every apartment or house that we've rented, I've always done like stuff. And then I would say 90% of the renovations that I make, they're like, no, you can just leave those. Those are great. Like, that's perfect. Thank you.
Well, the shop, I mean, when we left Cali Lou's USA, our landlord tried to like ask us if we could just leave everything that we had, made, our like storage, the paint job, everything like that. And
Yeah,
they're like,
all the
no,
cabinetry
sorry.
and the like shelving. And I was like, no.
No, sorry. This
That's
is
not
ours.
gonna
This
happen.
is,
Yeah.
exactly. Cali Lou's is like us, So we wouldn't feel comfortable leaving like the same imprint and then having somebody else essentially move in and be a facade of what it used to be. So we were like, yeah, no. But I'm really excited. I'm pumped. What else happened? Oh, we have our meeting with our first advisor tomorrow.
Yep,
So that's
tomorrow
also
morning.
really
Yeah,
exciting.
our first immigration advisor. So that way we can make sure that we structure the business properly.
Yes.
And then we can, we'll probably still spend the next 2 weeks or so working on the house, getting all settled in. Because
sure.
if you've ever moved, we have 204 boxes. So there's a lot to unpack.
Absolutely.
And so if you've moved and you know that like, oh yeah, it takes people months, it does not take me months because I typically will take a couple days off of work. And luckily we are not yet fully tattooing. So I like strategically planned this so that way when we did get into our place, we would have time to be able to unpack everything because I am not one to live with boxes.
Absolutely.
So there will not be any boxes of like, hey, this stays like that. Because if it was already like designed to be in a box, like holiday decorations, they're in totes. So like I am not a cardboard box kind of person.
Yeah, totally.
Like
Totally. And
nothing against if you have boxes. I just can't live that way.
I think the biggest hurdle that I've had to like personally go through in like mental and emotional like state wise and moving to a different country is knowing that like it is like a slower setup process for us. Which I'm grateful for because I can't imagine like moving to a different country, getting used to all the like just driving on the different side of the road already is like a lot to get used to, but also just the cultural differences while I don't know, being thrust into work. Like I have to remind myself that like, okay, you need to get established. You need to get the home settled. And like you said, that shit takes time.
Yeah.
Like-
it takes time and it takes energy.
Yes.
And I think that people like will jump into stuff and be like, no, it's fine. But like as someone who's done that multiple times where like Caboose and I typically don't have any time. So I will then be unpacking boxes at 6 a.m., go tattoo from 10 until 8 o'clock at night, and then come back home. And I do that for like 2 weeks in order to like unpack our house. But I did not want to do that again because the whole point is not to bring this like American idea that we have to always be earning money.
For sure.
And like we specifically saved so we could do this in a way in which we are not killing ourselves.
Yeah, 100%. I have to keep reminding myself that too, because like, obviously we're paying for a bunch of stuff. I paid off my car right away, which I'm really grateful for. I'm glad that I did that because again, I don't have to worry about a car payment coming in. And the only really like reoccurring payment that I have right now would be rent and my phone. And so that helps. And just reminding like all the hard work, all the long days that I put in back in Reno. I'm like, okay, this was what it was for.
Yes.
You save for this moment and here you are now. And remember, like, you don't want to like thrust yourself back into the cycle of like capitalism and like, again, burning myself out. That we are so desperate to be detached from. So we moved like halfway across the world what, just for me to throttle myself back into that own
Mhm.
system because of myself? Like, no. So that's
Yeah.
just the biggest hurdle I've had to go through. But this episode, we wanted to answer questions.
Well, I have my biggest hurdle. Do you not care?
No, I don't. I'm kidding. What's your biggest hurdle?
Creamer.
Oh, yeah. That's hard. That is
Yeah.
rough. Do you want to talk about your creamer?
I love coffee.
Mhm.
I'm a coffee person. If you've been
and
on
through.
this podcast journey with us, you've heard me talk about my love for coffee
Period.
and how if I see it on a commercial, which right now that actually might make me cry if I watch someone else
Drink coffee.
drink coffee, and I know that they're in the US,
Mhm.
and I would probably cry. I'm actually thinking about the scene in Handmaid's Tale when Nick brings her coffee and she's like, hey, don't steal.
Mhm.
I forgot the lady's, actually she says Martha, but she has a real name.
Like, what is it, Rita?
Yes,
Yeah.
Rita's actual coffee, like her real coffee.
Mhm.
And I watched that scene and I was like, motherfucker, I'd punch a baby for some coffee right now.
Yeah, like a good cup of coffee.
Yeah, because I was told to by the internet
Mhm.
that New Zealand had some of the best coffee in the world, and that was incredibly strong coffee. And I didn't think I liked strong coffee. If you would have asked Caboose, he would have said, no, you don't like strong coffee. And then I got here, and the only way I can explain it is that it is the LaCroix of coffee.
Mhm.
It is like someone walked into a room that had a coffee cup in it, and they just whispered the word coffee. And then they walked back out, and that's what's in your cup. It is so horribly depressing.
Mhm.
And I don't drink a lot of milk, mostly because I was always like, I'm about to ruin milk for some people. I was always kind of grossed out by milk because, like, the fact that there can be pus in milk really always freaked me the fuck out.
I have
And
some
I'm-
childhood trauma with milk, so I feel that.
Yeah. So I'm like, no, I don't need your liquid pus. No, thank you.
yeah.
It's the same fear I have around jizz. So same thing. Liquid pus.
Yeah.
No, thank you. But here it's much harder to find soy milk.
Yep.
And same thing on the West Coast. If you go to a coffee house on the West Coast, you're going to get fucking oat milk, which I don't drink because that's not worth the carbs.
Mhm.
But so I'll occasionally have a little bit of milk, but here it's been like every day. And after 2 weeks, my body can't handle it anymore.
Yeah.
Now I'm straight out ill.
Complete
And I'm not
shut down.
Yeah.
Like,
And it's not like a lactose intolerance thing. It's like my body is like, you're full of pus.
Mhm.
And it's like, I can feel it curdling in my stomach, and it's just like, absolutely not. So it's a combination of the coffee is not good. And we are going to get like an espresso maker because that's typically how they do coffee here.
Mhm.
So we had this idea as we were working through the problem, as I was crying and complaining about coffee,
Yeah.
which, don't get me wrong, I'm aware of the privilege that I have, that this is the biggest problem currently in my life,
for sure.
is that I can't get good coffee. But if you are a coffee addict like myself, devastating. Not as devastating as my rights being taken away. I'm very, very aware of that.
Absolutely.
But we were talking about coffee creamer
Yeah. Well, are you talking about
the strength of coffee?
Okay, the strength of
So
coffee.
we were like, what if we have to get espresso beans?
yeah, we'll just get espresso beans and then like brew it like coffee.
Yes, but then
Yeah.
the other thing I discovered is that while looking for appliances,
Mhm.
what you as an American picture as like your coffee pot, so it's like the drip coffee.
Mhm.
A lot of places don't sell those
Yeah.
because
not a
that's
thing.
Not a thing. So you've got like 5 kettles to select from and 5 like espresso makers to select from.
Yep.
So that is my current biggest struggle, is being like, oh no, how do I get like American grade coffee
Mhm.
and also just a normal coffee pot? And before you say like, oh, you can do like French press, that is the normal way in which they don't do drip coffee, they do French press. And we've tried that, and I literally filled up the French press about a third of the way with coffee grounds, and then
Mhm.
let it like soak to try to get like the most flavor out of it. And it was kind of like I don't know, somebody just whispered coffee into the mug instead of just the whole room. So it's still an issue. And then the other, which will probably be funny for the rest of you because I did not realize the hypocrisy of saying it until I said the words,
Mhm.
is that I miss the creaminess of coffee with coffee creamer in it.
Mhm.
Because coffee creamer is also not a thing. You can get powdered Coffee Mate coffee creamer,
But we all know that's not the same. That's that shitty shit you get in fucking your hotel room.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not at all the same. And that's
However,
rough.
right now it's looking real good because the brand just looks the same.
Mm-hmm.
So right now I'm like, what? Coffee mate? Please.
Yeah.
I'll take powdered coffee creamer because that's better than not. Because otherwise, like, coffee creamer is not a thing. We
Totally.
did get flavored milk. We were trying that. That's the best thing we've had thus far. But again, my body's just not made for milk.
Yeah.
It loves cheese. Down for cheese.
And, like,
loves
cream.
ice cream.
Yeah.
Yeah. Down for coffee creamer. Not down for, like, out of a jug milk or out of a glass milk. Nope.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah, that's my biggest struggle.
Yeah, it's not really a thing
It's the
here.
coffee creamer plight.
I tried this like energy drink that's like New Zealand's core energy drink, and I was telling everyone on Tattoo Home Rockers, like, I feel like in America I'm used to like jet fuel energy drinks, so it is like the caffeine intake just in general is not the same. Which is fine because I think like towards the end of living in the States, I realized that I didn't actually really enjoy coffee that much. Like I realized that I just don't find myself making coffee. Because a lot of the times it does give me like a migraine if it's too strong.
You'd probably
So-
love coffee here then.
Coffee,
It's
I
the
mean,
LaCroix of coffee.
I've tried the coffee here and it's good. It's but it's also expensive, and I'm not trying to pay for coffee right now. I'm good on that. So I've just been balling.
Wait, have you only had coffee that we bought like at restaurants? Because that is much stronger because that's espresso.
Yeah, I've only had that coffee.
Yeah, that one's just espresso, like a flat
Like
white
a tall.
espresso.
No,
yeah.
I haven't had the flat white.
Okay.
I've had the tall blacks.
Yeah,
and those
so
are
that's
good,
just
like the
espresso with some
floral.
water.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a much better coffee than what we can currently make at home with a French press. So, which is also just called a plunger here. Oh, you guys. Also, my current favorite appliance, the names, because it's super fun seeing the different names. We use an emulsifier when we make the dog's food. So
Yeah.
that way we can make sure, because one of our dogs is not the world's best at like chewing stuff up, because
Fucking anaconda.
yeah,
Swallow it whole.
yes. So we do have to blend it up quite a bit to make sure that she is totally fine to eat it. And so an emulsifier here, they call, what was it? Oh, a stick mixer.
Yeah, stick mixer.
Stick mixer.
That's
great.
literally what it is. So
Yeah, it's a mixer on a stick. It's
Not
wonderful.
bad.
So when you use your emulsifier around the holidays, typically when people use it over there, remember it's a stick mixer.
not an emulsifier.
Yeah, way better.
Other question though. What does your gender feel like today?
My gender feels like a balled up spider web that has a single piece of glitter that got stuck in it.
Oh,
Yeah, so if you were like,
just shining.
there's like a little cobweb in the corner, ugh, gross, let me clean that up. And then you're like, wait, how did this glitter get here?
that's cute. That's a very
Yeah.
good description.
That's what I feel like today.
My gender feels like a bug bite, mostly because I have bug bites right now, and that's it.
Yeah, we need to
I
get
just
bug spray.
Can only think about the bug bite that's on my arm, and I willfully I so hope, and I know this is not how it works, that maybe I'll just get bitten enough to my body just won't react to it anymore. But I just get, dude, I get fucked up.
Or
so.
you could take antihistamines.
Or I could take antihistamines.
I put them in the bathroom.
Is that in the Advil?
Yes.
bottle? Okay, thanks. I'll take one.
Okay.
Okay. So with that being said, you want to do questions for?
Yes. You want to explain the situation?
Absolutely. So I asked people what questions they had about us, living in New Zealand. So just like any and all questions you wanted to know about, like just being here. And we had quite a few people respond, which was pretty fun. So I think what I would like to start off with is something a little bit easier
Okay.
to get us warmed up. So Kyle asked us this question: what is a night sky like? Can you see the stars, and is it odd seeing different constellations?
Okay, you guys, I cannot explain how fucking dope it is.
Yeah.
Callie and I, like one of the nights, we've been going to sleep pretty early. Like it's usually like 9 or 10 and all of us are like
Out.
dying.
Yeah.
And want to go to sleep. And I tend to be like a night owl, so I like to be up like much later. But like here I'm just like, no, I'm tired. Like
Yeah.
even though we're not currently working, obviously building a life and thinking about everything is just exhausting.
Oh, for sure, right?
yeah.
I'm like, God, I feel like I should be more tired, even though like I didn't. And that's such an American way of thinking. is like, well, you shouldn't be tired because you didn't work. No, bitch, you're still doing the mental and emotional labor of starting a whole new life. Sorry, continue.
No, that's great. I love that.
Fuck.
Yeah. I feel like I have to justify to people like, hey, even though we're not working, we're still working.
Totally.
We're just not currently pulling in money. So, when I, like, one of the nights, like, you and I were both, you were already, like, in bed, but your door was open, you were on your phone.
Yeah.
And I ran in because I, like, went outside to just, like, wander around because obviously we leave windows open because air conditioning's not really a thing here. We do have, like, the heat pump, which can just give a little bit of cold air, give a little bit of warm air, but it's typically only in about one room because they're quite expensive. And then otherwise, for the most part, it's really mild. So think like SoCal, you can just leave your windows open and like get cold breezes.
It's dope.
Yeah. So then like the back door was open and I was like, oh, I'm just going to like wander outside and like see what the sky looks like. And y'all, the fucking stars are so clear. And it's obviously, like, I was talking to Caboose about it, so I don't want to say obviously, like, you should know this. But once he said it, I was like, well, now I feel like an idiot. There is a thinner part of the ozone that exists in New Zealand.
Right.
You can feel it with the sun. So, like...
Yes, the sun stings you.
Yeah.
More. Like, it'll be like 70 degrees Fahrenheit out. Because 70 degrees Celsius would kill us.
Yes.
It'll be 70 degrees out, and you will feel like it's almost like 90.
Yeah.
Just because of the way it tingles on your skin, and it's because of the ozone. I thought it was because we're closer to the equator. I'm just very misinformed. But yeah, that makes sense. I didn't even think about it with the stars. Obviously, we'd be able to see them more.
I didn't think about that either. Because I was trying to explain to Caboose. So I don't remember the name of these two constellations. But when I ran in, grabbed Callie, and I was like,
it's important.
This is important. You need to come see this. Yeah. Like, I'm calling, like, an emergency. Like, I don't often pull the friend card where I'm like, get your ass up.
You're my friend.
This is so important. If you love me, you will do this. Because she's, winding down, obviously comfy. And I was like, I need you to come do this.
Totally.
And she came outside, and there was some clouds in the sky. But I did not realize this either, so I'm excited to tell you because Goose and I were looking at the stars last night, and he was explaining it to me. It is so much less light pollution than anywhere else we've lived. Columbia being the best place. Like, when we lived in South Carolina, it was the best place for light pollution, but it's still pretty fucking bad.
Yeah.
But here, partly because the ozone's thinner, the stars are clearer. So, like, you can see the more definition around them, and it's so hard to explain.
It looks like a video game.
Yes.
It does not look real.
It looks like something you see in a movie, like how you see stars in movies where they're like, the definition is clear. And then, my favorite constellation, and I think I might have even mentioned this previously on the podcast, is I was really upset about like living in the Southern Hemisphere because I was told that you could not see Orion down here. And Orion is the constellation that I have been attached to since I was a small child. It was the first constellation I ever found in the sky. My dad told me the whole story about it. And it was also the constellation that was directly above Caboose and I when we like fell in love and all that kind of cheesy shit.
Oh,
and it
been
was
there for you.
Yeah.
All
So
this
constellation, it's the only constellation that I give a flying fuck about. That's why I'm not like stuck on like Zodiac, where I'm like, oh my god, that kind. I'm like, no, Orion's the only thing that matters. And then
what a Capricorn thing for you to say. I'm kidding.
Exactly.
I have no idea what any of that has to do with each other. So
we were like out there looking, and I was like, wait, is that the fucking Big Dipper and the Little Dipper? And I was like, babe, I got to see Orion crystal clear because out in Reno, I can picture his belt. I could like see it there.
Yeah.
But I could never like necessarily see all the parts. I sure as fuck couldn't see his sword.
It's not like the pictures,
the whole goddamn thing. And then I was also like, it's kind of like there are clouds going across this. Nah, bitch, that's the Milky Way. We can fucking see the Milky Way.
Oh, it's wild. It is so wild.
Yeah.
I wish we could take pictures and like show you guys properly.
Caboose will take pictures.
There we go.
Yeah, because he's got astrophotography stuff that he's held on to for the entire time we've been in Reno. He did a tiny bit. He would like drive up to like the desert and take pictures, but it was so cumbersome because it takes a couple of hours to set up.
For sure, yeah.
And his dream is to have like an area in the backyard where he can just have it set up and then it can just be covered and he can just pull it out, because a lot of like what you see, like the really cool like nebulas where you can see all the details, they take multiple nights to take those pictures. This is a random little fucking tangent for you guys.
Yeah. If you guys want to learn about astrophotography really fast.
If not, skip forward 30 seconds. But it takes multiple nights, and sometimes it can take like a couple weeks worth of nights.
That's crazy.
So you need a setup that can stay perfectly still while able to like track the night sky.
Totally.
And so if you have to go out and then spend 2 hours setting up and then getting all your stuff, and it's very finicky equipment. So imagine like having to build your tattoo machine every single time you wanted to use it.
Yeah.
And then you have to disassemble it and then put it back together.
And then you have to make sure that it works.
Yes.
And then tune it.
For people who don't use tattoo machines, imagine having to assemble your oven every single time you wanted to use it. And I don't mean start a fire. I mean assemble your whole fucking oven.
Yeah.
Every
Test the
time you want to do it.
If the temperature's not working, take it apart, make sure you find out what's wrong.
So it's really cumbersome, but once you have like an actual like solid place where you can just set it up, get it right, and leave it there, then you're able to get it. And like as his wife, it was so amazing to see that, because I love the night sky and I love looking at stars. But to be able to see him where he was like, oh yeah, like we could do astrophotography here. Totally. And to see his like love of that he's had to put a pin in the whole time we've been in Reno, because the light pollution is so fucking bad.
Yep.
That like we're in a neighborhood right now. We're in one of the largest cities in New Zealand. So It's not that we're out in the middle of nowhere. Like we have all the conveniences of the city, but then the benefits of
to all of our restaurants.
Yeah. So it's like, I'm stoked. So yeah, long story, but night sky, the fucking tits. It's the best night sky I've ever seen. And I'm so excited that we live here for that.
Yeah.
Also, it was not the Big and Little Dipper. I did get corrected there. I don't remember the two constellations that kind of resemble the Big and Little Dipper. But it was Orion. And Caboose told me it wasn't. And then he was like, oh shit, I guess it is. And so I got to be right in that. But apparently he's upside down here. But if you look at him upside down, he looks the correct way up.
It looks like it makes sense.
Yeah, I was like, this is the correct way. What are you talking about?
Yeah, stunning.
Yeah.
Stunning.
I'm sorry, I answered that entire thing for you. What do you like the night sky better?
Yeah, I love it. I think it's, I think that like it makes more sense. When people were like, I'm into stargazing, I was always like, why? That's fucking boring. And now like being in a place
being
where
able
you
to
see
stars,
I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Like I could totally see myself like just taking a blanket outside in our yard and just laying there covered in bug spray, first of all. But just laying there and just looking and just like hanging out and talking. Like I would love to do that. So yeah. Okay, next question that was asked. This was from Sean. Thank you, Sean, for asking a question. He wanted to know what the most unexpected difference in the change was for living in New Zealand versus the United States. I think for me, the most unexpected thing was how diligent New Zealand is about recycling, how easy it is to recycle here, and just generally like the fact that like it, when you think about it and actually sit down and like really take it all in, it makes sense. But at the same time, when you come from a country that's so huge and so big on like making sure there's waste, because where there is waste, there is profit. New Zealand's obviously a smaller place. It's a smaller island. We only have like, what was the population?
5 million.
5 million people here living, as opposed to what, 33?
I like that you said
living.
Here living. I'm like, as opposed to the dead? And you said as opposed, and I was like, how many are dead?
As opposed to the numbers in the U.S.,
yes,
it's 33, right? 33-ish million people in the U.S. It makes sense that like everyone here is so diligent about protecting the island and making sure that like their place is safe to live and also just more renewable and sustainable, et cetera, et cetera. But at the same time, I think that like if you live on land, you should treat it as such. And I really wish that America would adopt the same things.
340 million.
340. Wow, that's a lot of people. Holy fuck. 340 million as opposed to 5 million.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the most pleasantly unexpected change for me is like, again, the fact that they're so diligent about making sure that things are recyclable, that you're not producing that much waste. And although that means like for example, again, going to the grocery store and getting pasta sauce, you only have a little bit of options to choose from. There's less food waste that way and less waste in general that way. So, yeah, that's the most an unexpected change for me.
Can I add a little question in there? As a person who is not a self-proclaimed foodie, but I'm going to nominate you as a foodie because all conversations lead back to food. Do you find that more difficult to have less options? Obviously, we've only been here for a month, so I would see like where we sit at 6 months. I think it would be great to revisit these and like at the 6 month mark.
Yeah, I would say it is a little bit more difficult just because obviously you're used to seeing brands too. Like if you cook a lot, you have your comfort brands that you like to cook with. You just know what they're going to taste like. So that's been a struggle. The quantity has been a struggle. Not being able to find sesame oil is hard for me. Hate that. But also getting used to different brands of soy sauce. So different.
Oh, yeah.
Getting used to different brands of like white wine vinegar.
But is it that they're different or is it that there's just less options?
The less option thing is still hard for me just because like I would love, as far as pasta sauces go, I love going into the store in America and being like, okay, do I want to go with more of like a spinach and herb taste, or do I want to go with the 4 cheese taste, or do I want to go with this? Whereas here it's like you've got maybe 3 different options.
Yeah.
So that is difficult, I will say. Yeah, that's hard, but not bad. At the same time, I think you have to approach things with the idea of like you move to a different country to change your life, right? So I think it's a little bit unfair to be frustrated that your life has changed, if that makes sense.
Unless it's coffee creamer.
Unless it's coffee creamer. That's a big change, though. That's huge.
Yeah, I genuinely have never thought about it. That's genuinely the biggest adjustment.
Dude, sesame oil. I'm like, where the fuck am I going to get sesame oil?
I know. Now I'm like, look, we got to be out. There's so much more
I know it's out
here,
there.
So there has to be. Yeah. As opposed to Reno, there is so much more culture.
So much. And
so there has to be. There has to be.
It is so much more diverse than Reno, too. I would like to point that out. Reno is very white. And we were told on the internet that, like, New Zealand's also very white. But honestly, it's been a lot more diverse than Reno is. So I'm enjoying it so far. That doesn't mean that it's not white. Again, it all comes down to perspective. But I'm enjoying the diversity here. What about you?
I was seeing if I could Google where we can pick up sesame oil.
Oh, yeah. I've tried. There's a Asian market that I have stored in my little bookmarks section that will probably have
According to them, Woolworths has it.
Okay.
So I think we just have to go to Woolworths.
Yeah.
And actually pay for a $5 coffee here and then go to Woolworths and just like have a good time in Woolworths.
Sounds good.
Or we could just get a road bevy and walk down there and then just peruse through as we sip on a road bevy.
Period. Honestly, okay, here's the thing though. I've seen a lot of people walk and they have Woolworths bags, by the way.
Yeah, I think don't get me wrong, it kills me that we drive when Woolworth is all of, well, apparently my Google is still an American, so it's 0.7 miles away.
Oh, come on now.
Exactly,
we could totally
and we
walk
drive
that.
there.
Yeah, we could totally
Kills
walk
me.
that. Yeah, and that's the thing too. Oh, again, that's to tie in this whole thing, it's my biggest thing to say. Like, it is really unfair for you to want to change your life, but then be upset that your life has changed, especially when you move to a different country. You are a visitor in this country. I will inevitably be a citizen in this country. That is the goal. But, like, at the end of the day, you let me into your country. So, therefore, like, come on now. Like, I'm getting used to walking around places. Yes. Everyone in the U.S. is obsessed with the idea of a walkable city, but then I can see a lot of people getting upset at the idea of walking.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, not to come for Caboose. Caboose is like, oh, we'll drive. And you and I have to be like, we can walk.
Yeah. That's part of the thing. We have to
like, we can walk. We can get bicycles.
Let's get simulated.
Yeah, like, and, like, you and I are very much like, no, let's get it simulated, like, much faster in that, like, place of, like, no, I've got 2 legs. I'd rather walk.
I'd rather walk, too, because guess what?
Okay, well, after
I don't have to worry about driving,
we'll walk down and see if we can find sesame oil.
Yes!
Okay, what's the question again? And I'll answer it.
Most unexpected difference in the change of moving.
Besides coffee creamer. If you can't tell, I'm bitter. I just need to find something that, like, works that isn't dairy based. And I understand that coffee creamer is, but coffee creamer in the States is so, like, minimal on dairy and maximal on chemicals. And I'm basically just a drug addict coming off of chemicals.
Dude, it reminds me of my old ass where it's like, oh, I miss eating chemicals. That's how I feel now.
Yes.
I miss eating chemicals.
Yes. I will say for me, it's not unexpected in like it's a difficult thing, but I am so grateful because I've talked about this with you and I think on the podcast, and I've talked about it with you and Caboose about feeling foreign.
Yeah.
And I've felt foreign in the United States since we moved there. So since 30 years of my life, I felt like this is not the place I belong.
Totally.
Because fundamentally, and watching it shift like culturally, which goes along with politically because the two are intertwined.
Yep.
It has been really hard around like there are places in the world, i.e. the place I grew up, that are kind.
Oh my
that,
God,
like,
yes.
people are giving, that people think in community.
Yeah, that everyone
And
who
so-
talks to you, it's probably for a good reason. It's not for like a confrontative reason.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
And so like it's been really affirming to me to see that, like when we went on the walk the other day and we had admired this beautiful grape tree because apparently grape trees just grow in people's yards here.
Yeah.
And it was stunning. And the architecture of their house is exactly what Caboose and I love. And then we walked back the next day with Caboose and Guinness. And the first day Guinness was there too. Not to take her out of the first day story, but we walked by and the owners of the home were out on their back deck. And they were like, said hi to us. And it's been so nice, like watching you like respond, saying hi to people because I'm used to saying hi to people. But then in the States, I learned to not do that because people get so affronted
They get
by
weird
it.
about it, yeah.
And then I learned that like my defense to protect myself was like, I'm gonna fucking kill you with kindness, motherfucker. But like here, I just get to like go back into that like safe place of childhood where like, you're not thinking that people are out to get you. Like we've already gotten to know neighbors and then to get to know them. And then people just want to talk to you. So like we went down to the local liquor store so we could pick up new ciders and like new alcoholic beverages because we're having so much fun like trying all these new things. And then also just finding things that can become our new comfort items. And like the second time we had, I think it was technically the third, because we go in and we're like, okay, we'll get one beverage. We'll go in the next day, get another. We went in there and the gentleman like just was like telling us about like his future trips and he's going to India to like for his brother's wedding. And like, you just get to know people.
Yeah.
And like, I've been talking to you about this for years where I'm like, that was what I missed about the South as well. And that's where I realized the South and England were very similar was that like, it was community based, that like, it wasn't this case of like, if I see this person all the time, why don't we know each other's names? Why don't we know each other's lives?
Oh my God, it's so sweet. We went to the farmer's market for the second time and I made friends with one of the vendors and he's our meat guy.
Yeah.
Which sounds weird. And I'm determined to get his name next week.
Yeah.
Because this time around we had a full conversation. He's like, where are you from? Have you been here long? And just chatting about like, I was talking to him about his day and it was just so
Yeah, he's been here for 20
beautiful.
years.
He's been here for 20 years and he told me New Zealand's a really easy place to live and he loves it. So I'm excited to learn more about him. And then I made a friend at the 5K.
Yes.
Again, he's also been here for 20 years. Shout out Mike.
Yeah, who
Super
made
sweet.
you
Oh my God.
fucking y'all. This bitch, can I tell? Or do you want to?
Please tell.
This bitch did not think. Now, to be fair, this is literally her second 5K.
Yeah.
Did not think she could like run the whole thing. Absolutely ran the whole thing.
I did.
Didn't walk at all. And
I tried to.
Yeah.
I tried to twice and Mike wouldn't let me. He was like, come on now. I was like, oh no, I can't stop because
Yep.
he's going to yell at me. So I was running with him. We just had a chat the entire time finishing the 5K. It was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like that's the part that like has been, for me, it's such a beautiful thing because it is that part of like, there was a part of me that thought like, what if that world that you grew up in that was community based and the world you left in the South, because the whole propaganda of the United States is that everyone's so divided.
Yeah.
And then especially living on the West Coast where like that, it felt so much harder to make connections that it was this like, what if that world doesn't exist anymore? And then to come here and instantly be like, oh no, this is the beautiful place that I grew up in where the world feels safe and connected and people just want to be kind to be kind.
Yeah.
Like there's no alternative motives. It's not like the people that gave us the grapes are like, okay, now we're going to charge you. Like she's happy. to get rid of some grapes off of her tree.
For sure. And stoked to meet us too.
Yeah, and so happy to talk to us. And then we were like, hopefully we'll see you later. And like, they're just like, absolutely. Like, we were like explaining where we live, which again, I understand how insane that sounds to like Americans, because when I was explaining like what house, and I was just going to give us our address to be like, yeah, we're going to live at this house. I was then in my brain like, don't tell them the address because Caboose is going to get upset that now they know where you live so they could rob you. And you're going to have a whole discussion around why you can do that.
Totally.
And so it does feel so nice to be like, hey, we're safe.
Yeah.
Like, you're always asking questions about, like, can we be here? Is it okay to be here? Like, can we walk through this field? Like, Guinness, like, hopped on someone's yard and you were like, Guinness, no!
Yeah.
Because in the States, people are like, this is my property. It's mine. And I was like, hey, unless there's a sign that says don't trespass, you're good to go.
Yeah, all you hear about in the States is, like, again, like, teenagers going into someone's yard and then getting shot.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, that's what, I mean, there were lime trees like hanging over on the street and I grabbed limes and Caboose is like, that's how you get shot. And I'm like, not here.
Not here.
But in Miami, they do.
Yeah, for sure. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So.
Wow. Okay. Thanks for the question. That was good. I have another question.
Yes.
This is from Thea. Thank you, Thea, for asking a question. Don't know why I said asking like that.
Asking.
She asked, any new pets to add with the lovely fur babies going into the new home? No.
Absolutely not. We have like 2 older dogs. We're not trying to stress them out with like a younger dog or an additional dog. And also just like an interesting fact about New Zealand, I'll keep this one short. 2 dogs is a lot here.
Yeah. Oh, culturally. Yeah. Let's talk about that. Culturally in America, it's perfectly acceptable and fine to have 3 dogs, right? And 3 dogs plus cats and a fish or whatever.
Yeah. That is not the thing here.
No, not at all.
If you have more than 3 dogs or you have 3 or more dogs, you have to get a license for that here.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to apply for a license. And also we're just not, I'm trying to enjoy. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm aware that my dogs will pass away. I'm trying to enjoy their last,
absolutely.
Years of their life.
And
hopefully
make sure that
it's a
they
long
enjoy theirs
years.
too. Yeah.
But I don't want to do the same thing that happened where we got Waffles and Guinness never liked her. So that meant that Guinness spent 11 years of her life living with a roommate she fucking hated. And her and Bailey love each other a ton. And now that Waffles is not in the picture, which is obviously devastating for us.
Absolutely. So heartbreaking.
Not devastating for them at all.
It makes it a little bit easier to see that our dogs are perfectly fine.
Yeah, they're fucking honestly happier.
We're a lot more sad about it than
So no more pets for us right now.
No more pets. Also, I'm not ready. I'm not ready to be a pet mom, and I'm okay with that. I'd rather just wait. So stoked to wait.
Yep.
My friend Sydney, hi Sydney, thank you for asking a question. Asked, does the food seem bland to you? ? And why is the ketchup sweet? In all caps. Thank you for pointing out the ketchup is like actually fucking jam here. It's not ketchup. It's not like in America, it is like considered to be like I would say a more savory condiment. Here, it's straight up jam. It's sweet as fuck. Don't like it. I also had a burger last week, a couple weeks ago, and there was sweet pickles on it. Hate sweet pickles. A little bit traumatized. Probably won't order a burger with pickles again. If I do, it'll be on the side, just because I cannot stand sweet pickles. I hate sweet pickles so much. I literally can't fucking even mention it to you guys. But the ketchup, I'm okay with. That's fine. It is weird that it's sweet, though, and it's more of a jam. And then as far as the food seeming bland, I don't know. I've actually gotten kind of lucky. Depends on where you go. I had a pie at the farmer's market that changed my fucking life. It was lamb and rosemary from our meat guy. And it was so delicious. And I've got, he ran out of lamb and rosemary, but I've got a beef pie in the fridge for when I don't feel like cooking later this week.
And I'm going to add 2 little, like, nuggets of information into that. A lot of people in New Zealand are from Europe. They're from England. Yeah. More specifically. Seasoning and home cooking doesn't happen there. So, what was her name again?
Sydney.
Don't eat from white people here.
Yeah.
Unless it's a pie, because pies are the only place in
They
which
fuck.
English people know how to put seasoning. This is speaking as an English person.
They're so
It's the
good.
only time in which we know how to season is in a pie.
Yeah.
It does not make it into anything else. But in a baked good, we can season. So if it's a baked good from a white person,
Amazing.
safe.
Yeah.
If it is a like regular dish from a white person, it's gonna be bland.
Totally.
Otherwise, just skip the white people and only go with black
Yes.
and brown individuals when it comes for cooking, because there's
Absolutely.
tons of seasoning.
Mhm.
Yeah, I did also learn a
Absolutely.
little random thing about that, about why English people don't season foods.
Oh, do tell.
And it was really, I don't know the accuracy of it because I learned it on a reel, but I did think it was A, comical, and B, it made a lot of sense to me. And it's just because English people had slavery for a lot less time. And that's why Americans season things more.
Wow.
Because seasonings never came from English people.
Yeah.
Like,
Totally.
it didn't come from Europeans.
Well, it's a meme of like
So-
y'all conquered the whole world and decided not to use any of the
Yes.
spices. What the
yeah,
hell?
so that's why American food tends to have a lot more flavor in it.
Yeah.
Thank all the black and brown people around you for why you have awesome clothes,
Mhm.
awesome music, and also awesome food, and
Mhm.
really just a generally better society. But
Yep.
yeah, so just don't eat from white people here, myself included, because I genuinely all the time forget that seasonings exist.
Oh, yeah. I will say, another difference, like something that I'm struggling with. Not so far struggling, kind of, yes. I don't know. I'm having a hard time admitting it. Ordering out, I am not ordering out as often because, again, I'm trying to save money,
Yep.
period. We need to start a business, period.
Mm-hmm.
And so I can't say I've ordered out a lot. So maybe I'm not the best person to be like, yes, the food is bland, but I will say that pie I had fucked hard. It was so good. And I haven't had a chance to try the Asian restaurants around here yet, except for that Thai place, which was bomb.
Amazing.
Very good.
amazing. Tons of flavor.
Yes, and I want to try. There's kebab places here, and there's a Bangladesh place down
I want
the
to eat
street.
at both of those.
It's totally,
Yeah.
totally. So I
And
want
when
to
you can smell the herbs, like as you're walking
Bro.
by, the spices, you can
Yes,
smell
we
it.
walked past that
So-
restaurant and it was popping. So like,
Yeah.
maybe I'm not the best person to ask right now. I will touch on it later though. But yeah, I think maybe stick to the pies.
The pies or non-white food.
Certified. Yeah, certified.
Because white people can't cook.
Yeah,
Said as a white person.
very great. Devin, hi Devin, asked two different questions. We're gonna start with number one. Devin asked if there was anything you both miss about the U.S. I miss restaurants and supermarkets closing at 10 p.m. at night. I do miss that. But I will say again, it's not something I want to bring over to New Zealand. I think it's beautiful that we're not expecting workers to work past 5 o'clock. Lots of restaurants here close at 5 o'clock.
Yes.
So many of them do. 5 to 6-ish. Same thing with the little shops around the corner. They close around 5 or 6. And I think it's beautiful that, again, they take care of themselves. They have a better work-life balance. Regardless of the job that they have. In the U.S., the restaurant industry is like, yeah, you're open until 10. You stay
And
until
you don't
11.
get paid for shit.
You don't get paid.
You're basically being abused, not just by customers, but by your employers and
sure.
by society to
Yep.
be expecting you to never be at fucking home,
Yeah.
to work these ridiculous fucking hours,
Mhm.
and then have a healthy work-life balance. Like, work-life balance doesn't exist outside of capitalism because you're
Totally.
not having to balance it. It just is life.
Yep.
So, yeah.
And although I miss it, I will say, like, I do understand.
yeah, the
like,
convenience of it is what you miss.
the convenience of it I miss, but I also just don't. I would rather trade that convenience out for people living a happier life.
Yeah.
So I just want to preface it with that. I don't want that to come over to New Zealand. I do think it's unfair. I think the wages in the U.S. are ridiculous and
Yep.
fucked up. And but I will say I miss the convenience of that. So how about yourself? Anything you miss about the U.S.?
Besides coffee creamer.
Besides
That's
coffee
the only
creamer.
thing I'm going to
That's
bitch
the-
about,
at the
you guys.
front
It's the
of your
only
brain.
thing. It is a
It's the coffee
persistent
creamer.
every single morning and throughout the day issue.
Yep.
And again, I don't like milk, so I don't like milk in my like tea either. I use coffee creamer because I like a certain amount of chemicals per day.
Yep.
I don't you know what? I'm going to be real frank and honest about
it.
it. You and I were talking about this. And I made a little post about it yesterday about the like familiar hell.
Mhm.
And today I don't miss it, but yesterday I missed our studio and I missed our home.
Yes.
Just being surrounded by your own like possessions especially as someone who loves like design and creating spaces, like to be in an Airbnb, though it's lovely and I love like that we've stayed in an older home. In, you know, obviously it's an Airbnb, so they've kept it neutral and that's just their aesthetic as well.
Yep.
But I miss like our spaces where I could just exist and I didn't have to worry about like, oh, if I broke something, not that I did go around breaking stuff, but there's just less worry. And I quite frankly just missed being angry on the road because like Reno was awful for driving in. And I love driving, but I haven't really driven like on the road here. And when we do get in the car, because I'm still adjusting to all of it, it feels foreign and scary. And like right now being on the road feels anxiety ridden. And I just wanted to be fucking angry. And like, quite frankly, the biggest anger I have, besides hearing about the politics of the US and the fuckery of like the politics that are currently existing here, but the beauty about the here politics is that tons of people are fighting against it. But besides like that, I didn't realize how much of like my life on the West Coast existed. And quite frankly, because of the trauma of my childhood and the family in which I was raised, and then having a business with my abuser, anger has been a like touchstone of my daily life for so long, and I can't find reasons to be angry here. The closest thing I have is a mild discomfort about not finding the correct coffee creamer solution, which is also, I'm not mad about it. I'm not like, hey, please invite these like chemicals into this country. No, I understand the reason why, but it's that like, I kind of miss being angry. And that's like a big thing for me to unpack, to be like, wow, like I would get on the road and people would cut me off and then almost hit me and like,
dude,
just fucking be dicks on the road. And you're just like, oh, why are you being a dick? And here people like let you in and like,
they're patient.
Yeah, people are patient and like people are kind. And it's like interesting to watch, because not to call Caboose out, but he barely listens to episodes anyway. But like you can see where that's still in him, that if someone like goes and he thought it was his way, he's like, oh, he's an asshole. And I'm like, is he though? Like, and it's that case of like that anger becomes your American identity.
Totally.
And to like not be angry is something that I oddly miss.
It's very programmed in us to like turn on each other.
Yeah.
I think like as far as like, I mean, now America's slightly woken up to class consciousness and becoming more aware of like, holy fuck, like this whole system is designed to make sure that
infighting,
that we are always pit against each other, that it's our problem, and to never blame the billionaires because we would never be in the same room as them anyways, even though they control almost every aspect of our lives. And I also think that there's, for me at least, a comfort in being angry, as far as like I have to be comfortable with something or someone in order to be angry at them. Which is crazy. So.
Yeah. So that's the biggest thing. Otherwise, like, it's pretty fucking dope.
Pretty dope.
Loving the weather.
Devin, second question.
Perfect.
What is something you guys are loving about New Zealand that you have not experienced before?
Ooh.
Such a good question.
That's a hard one, because the thing I'm loving is the kindness, but I have experienced that.
Walkable cities. I love being able to walk places. I like being able to like just exercise, to move my limbs, to just like go out more. Also like, you know, I feel like in the US, it's like, okay, we're going out grocery shopping once every 2 weeks or something like that. And it's nice to just be able to do that more frequently. I'm going out more often. I'm seeing people more often. Mostly because there's a lot going on. And I do forget a lot of things in the grocery store.
Also, the fridges are smaller, so you can't hold as much groceries.
Absolutely. But like I feel like there's something really inherently healing about it. Not only just in activating, like, having that movement in my life to go out and do things with my body instead of just like, I don't know, driving. There's something healing about like seeing people and talking to more people and just being more exposed to the public, that I haven't been doing that before in the United States. So that's cool. That's something I haven't experienced before.
I love that.
Walkable cities. Love it.
Yeah, I think it feels like a bit of a cop-out. Caboose is creeping behind the camera because he just got home from school. I think it's probably watching you and Caboose like operate in this world, like I've always felt like the outsider in your world,
Totally.
like trying to argue why the United States is flawed. And now I feel like I actually get to be comfortable in the fact that I'm not crazy. The world can be a kind, beautiful, like, and compassionate place.
Totally.
And so to like be able to operate in a world where I'm like, it's not meant to be scary all the time.
Yeah.
It feels like something new, because I feel like I've always been trying to prove that. And there's still a little bit of that proving it still, where I'm like, see, it's okay. It's okay. But it's little things. It's like we bought furniture yesterday and we were like, oh, we'll all just check out together.
Yeah.
So that way we can take advantage of the like free delivery. And shout out to Colleen at Target. She's the tits. And she handed the like the checkout, like to you, the credit card thing to you, to be like, okay, like this is how much yours is. And you had already bank transferred it to us.
Yeah, I was like, oops.
Because we didn't even know.
Yeah.
We didn't know that like
it would
you
be
can
bundled together.
Yeah. That like we just thought like, oh, you're only going to charge the one person. And the same thing happened with our like charging for the apartment or for the house, was that it then asked like, okay, how much did you pay in? So there's this like crazy part of like, instead of us trying to like figure everything out ourselves of like how to save money, like they're all just like, oh no, you can bundle stuff together, take advantage of the fact that we have free shipping, and then you can still pay separately.
Yeah, they were like, oh, why did you think that you would have to pay separately?
Yeah.
And like we thought we were gonna have to do the math, like, oh, you'll put down the deposit, and then in order to be easier on all of our memories, like instead of like, oh, we have to remember a couple years down the line, hey, this is the money that you put in, this is your money. No, instead, like they were able to just do that on their own program, so that way they would remember.
Yeah, so that way she would have automatically got a bank transfer back of her deposit, and we would have automatically gotten a bank transfer back. So it's that there's already this, like, there's so many easy things just built in that you don't think is an American. You're like, I'm trying to like everything, like you can see how when we're talking to people, because we're really honest about, hey, we've only been here for 2 weeks, that we're explaining to them that like, oh no, this is very complicated in the States. And they're like, why would it be like that?
Yeah.
Like, so that's probably like something as well.
Yeah, that we haven't experienced.
Yeah.
Before. Very cool.
I'm going to insert really fast before I forget to do this.
Yes, for sure.
Jennifer asked, what's Manchester? And then I looked it up. I did get somebody to respond this morning to it.
Yes, we've been past these shops that just randomly say Manchester.
Yeah, it'll say like clothes, shoes, Manchester,
like why
glasses.
Why does it say that?
Yeah,
so confused. And then you found the answer to that? Mm-hmm. Okay, great. Why?
It was funny because I looked up the answer and then someone else had like sent me the answer.
Oh, nice.
So, and I did not tell Callie the answer because
you wanted to tell me on the podcast.
I did, because as someone from Manchester, England, and I am very proud to be from Manchester, England, that is something that like is instilled in me. I've never been proud about being an American. That hasn't been like a thing for me ever in my life. But being a Manchester bee has always been like very close to my heart. And don't get me wrong. Once again, every time I talk about Manchester, I feel like it's the same way that we should talk about the inherent racism of the United States. Anytime we say we're American, there's this like guilt part of that. I am fully aware that the Industrial Revolution wrecked the world in a lot of ways. And part of being a Manchester bee comes from the fact that it is the buzzing of the city because it was the like hub of the Industrial Revolution. And so Manchester was also the big producer of linens and more accurately, cotton.
Oh.
So here they use the term Manchester as an interchangeable term for cottons and linens.
Bitch, period, work, Manchester, work.
Yes.
Oh my God, look at you.
So when I kept seeing Manchester around, I was like, what is going on? What is this?
Yeah, you're like, I want to know, like, why?
Yeah. Like,
what does it mean?
What is this term?
Yeah.
And so I was like, I'm so confused because it can't be my Manchester. Like, it cannot be where I'm from. Like, my town, like, absolutely. Be a different term. Like, it has to be something else. Like, it has to be something weird, or like, what is that? Like, and yeah, apparently Manchester is the term for household linens, cottons, such as sheets and towels.
Huh. Who would have thought?
Mm-hmm.
Had no idea. That's awesome.
So I
Are
got
you
to
proud?
feel. I am proud.
Do you want to tell them that Manchester? What are you guys called? Worker bees?
The Manchester Bees, yeah, because we're worker bees.
Because
Yeah.
they're worker bees.
And I got to
Very
show you
fitting.
when we were there how like the pride of that. So like our city has like on the like grates of the city and on like street lamps, like there are Manchester Bee like emblems places.
Yep.
And so like that's always been like not in, if you're a tattoo artist, you'll get this, in that weird way that like every woman was getting bees for a minute and you're like, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
Like I get it, they're awesome, but damn it, man.
Yeah.
And
It's
so
the
then
50th
I didn't
bee.
want to get a bee because I was like, no.
I recommended the Manchester flea. But
You did,
we
yeah.
can-
Again, that would make sense. There was a lot of poverty. There were a lot of fleas.
there you go.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Now I'm glad that we asked that. We have
Yes,
one
thank
last
you,
question.
Jennifer.
Thanks, Jennifer.
I asked the internet, and then Jennifer said, "Nah, bitch, do your own research."
Yeah, Jennifer's like, I need you to tell me. Okay, Chloe. Hi, Chloe. We love you. We miss you.
Oh my god, so much.
I hope you're having
also,
so
your
much fun.
Dubai pictures,
Oh my god.
amazing.
Chloe's our friend. She decided to take a solo female trip
Yeah.
to the Middle East, which was fucking awesome. And she's out there with a bunch of other female travelers, which is great. And she's made friends, and she's just out there exploring.
She was on a
living
camel.
this life. She was
Or
on
at
a
least
camel.
she
She was on a hot air balloon.
Yeah.
Girl, work. You have been doing. We love you. We're so inspired by
How
you.
people currently feel about seeing our stories about being in a new place is how we feel about hers.
Yeah, she's so cool.
Yeah.
Chloe, you're so cool. Anyways, crime.
Kids just ran by.
Chloe asked, what's been the most surprising or unexpected thing you've experienced in New Zealand? And besides driving on the left side of the road, I would say this might not be unexpected, but like I will say it's still surprising to me. Driving on the passenger side of a car. I understand it's not the passenger side here, but for the US, driving on the right side of the car, it's weird. Trying to gauge like the space on your left instead of your right. And then also when I'm shifting gears, I fucking keep trying to shift gears with my right hand. And it's so annoying because my hand will just hit nothing. It'll just hit the window. And I'm like, trying to get out of fucking reverse into drive. I'm like, no, god damn it. It's so fucking weird. And then also putting the key in on my left side is so fucking weird. It's surprising and weird. And I know it shouldn't be surprising or weird, but it is.
No,
for
it's
me.
allowed to be surprising and weird. Don't
Yeah.
gaslight yourself into saying it's not.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Um,
I just, the spatial awareness that it requires is a lot of brain power. It takes so much brain power.
Mine is exactly the same thing, but it's that because we're still in the same seats
Yeah.
that we were, because typically I would drive in the States.
We're in the same
and
seats.
So we're in the same seats. We're in the same order.
I'm still a passenger
yeah,
princess.
the same way you see us now is how we are then. Where I'm driving in the States, and so I will like come up to a stop and I will instinctually hit the brake with my foot, but I'm a passenger. There's nothing there. And if I glance out the window, then I'm like, what am I doing? Pay attention to the road. So because I'm on that side of the car, so there's been a couple times where I have to like give my brain a break and be like, I have to sit in the back seat for a minute.
Totally.
Because it's the only way I can turn my brain off. Otherwise, if I sit in the front, I'm in the driver's seat. And so my brain is like, you're driving. And so I keep saying stuff out loud of like, what I keep saying? Caution? Careful? Oh, careful.
Yeah, careful.
So there'll be a car that comes and I'm saying it out loud, but I'm not talking to them. I'm talking to myself like I'm driving to be like, careful, there's a car coming from that direction.
And it's so gentle too. Careful. I'm like,
yeah.
okay.
And then you're like, okay, because like I can see it. But yeah, it's weird.
Oh
it's
my
weird to
God.
be on the opposite side of the car.
Another thing, there are so many fucking roundabouts here. There's 97 total roundabouts in Hamilton,
Do you want
you
to tell
guys.
them why you learned that? Because Hamilton City loves to communicate with us.
Because Hamilton City's Instagram said that right now they're having a really hard time accessing there's a lot of road islands in Hamilton. So over the next couple of months, you'll see a lot of workers go in and do some work on the little road islands.
Yeah, they're going to cover, because there's
Yes.
some spots that have grass, but they look overgrown and not very nice.
Yeah.
So they're going to cover those up, but they were informing the citizens,
of
like,
Hamilton.
hey, we aren't just getting rid of all the grass. We're only covering these ones that our workers can't safely get to.
Exactly. We promise it's just the ones that we can't safely maintain. And like, again, it just causes too much traffic. It's just too much. So they're just getting rid of the grassy parts of, again, the unsafe ones.
Yeah, but that they're gonna keep planting flowers in gardens,
which is what they do.
Yeah, the roundabouts have flowers and gardens because they can
so sweet.
safely be in there and maintain it.
Yeah, exactly. So the reason why I learned that there's 97 is because in that video they said, don't worry, there are still 97 roundabouts in Hamilton that will be taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes. Holy shit.
Because we haven't talked about that. So currently the way that we're working, and I just want to, I can talk about this, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't want you to be like, hey, don't tell them that. Okay, so currently what we're doing, because learning to drive on the opposite side of the road is insane.
Yes.
If anyone tells you it's not, fuck off. Don't shame people for that. It's insane. Yeah. I still haven't been on the road. I drove on a little side street when we were down at your garage, but I haven't done anything insane. I literally went down, turned around, and came back.
Yeah.
Because I still do not feel 100% ready for that. Mm-hmm. Especially learning a new car, being on the opposite side of the road, being on the opposite side of the car. There's a lot of things. And then you're in a brand new city that you don't necessarily understand. So right now what we're doing is you're obviously driving your beautiful car.
Thank you.
Tits. We ride in luxury now.
We
in
do.
a fucking absolute steal of a deal of a car.
She's got leather seats, bitch.
Yeah.
She is so beautiful.
And she's got the automatic door closer,
she's got
on the
automatic,
trunk.
Trunk closer. Yeah. She's got
already came with a tow hitch, so we have a trailer, so that way when we start doing conventions, all the 2 conventions that currently exist here, don't worry, we'll be the 3rd. But we, so I navigate and also work as a emotional regulator. So as we're going to a roundabout, so I'm, the car can tell her where to go, but I'm also telling her.
We're using sat nav.
Yes. So we're using sat nav. So that way she's used to it because she's never had Apple Play, in her car.
Nope.
So then as we get to a roundabout and there's multiple lanes, I'm okay, so we want to be in this lane, and then we're going to take a 3rd turn. And then we also just co-regulate each other because a lady the other day went to go cut us off on the roundabout, and you and I thought we were going to die.
Yeah, we both were
we were both oh God, we can't turn here. This lady's going to hit us. We're stuck on the roundabout. And Caboose just no, she was just cutting you off. But both you and I were oh my gosh. So there's a lot of co-regulation that happens. And if you need that, if you're hey, this is my first time driving and I need someone else in the car, a person, not a robot, to tell me where to go, pop off, bitch.
Yeah. Personally,
you do you.
It is a lot easier for me to learn how to drive on the other side of the road with different, slightly different traffic laws. If there's somebody else in there with me.
You say slightly, it's completely different. We haven't seen a single stop sign.
You're right. There's no stop signs. There's
it just says give way, which is basically a yield. But if you don't know all these things, and even if you've studied them beforehand, think about what it was like when you were 16 and you were learning to drive, or when you were first learning to drive. There's so much happening.
Yes.
And then to be instantly on the opposite side of the road, because it is easier if you learn to drive in your home country.
Yes.
Because you're instinctually on the correct side.
And then also on top of that, it's there's so many different conversions going through your brain where it's okay, how many kilometers am I going? And then being what's the speed limit here?
Yeah, because the speed limit doesn't look...
50? It's 50 kilometers, not 50 miles.
Yeah.
Which, still, it feels different in the car, and it just looking at the meters are different. Everything's so different.
Yeah, because all you see is 50 on there, and you're 50 miles an hour. This is too fast to go through this school zone.
Totally.
And then on top of that, all the signs are different. So all the stuff that you've instinctually built in your brain to I know what a speed sign looks like, now doesn't.
Yeah.
And so those things they add up to be really taxing, which I guess is my long-winded answer to be hey, if you are doing this, grace, man. Give yourself some grace. That's why you're tired, because your brain is building all new links of how to gather this information.
Yep.
And it's exhausting and it's scary and it's fucking also amazing.
It's dope. Love it. It's been taxing. It's been wonderful at the same time. I highly encourage anybody to just move to a different country, even if it's just for a short period of time. Obviously, our goal is to make sure that we're here for as long as possible. I would prefer to die here, honestly.
Yes. I'm trying to get old here.
Yeah, I'm trying to get old here. I'm trying to live my life here. But even if like that's not something you're into, just get a like working holiday visa for like a year or whatnot. It'll give you such a deep appreciation for immigrants. Because
Oh my God.
my goodness, like I mean America is built off like the backs of like slaves, built off the backs of immigrants too. A lot of the reasons why America is great is because of immigrants, which is why I think it's so fucking horrendous that fucking Orange Man is trying to take away birthright citizenship and make it harder to immigrate to the States and harder to just stay there. He's just trying to deport a bunch of fucking people. And it's crazy because the reason why America is so great is because we have different cultures. It's because we have hardworking people that want to have a better life. And he's just running it to the ground. So I just highly recommend it. If you want to live in a different country, just check it out. You should. It'll give you a complete... It's so humbling and so beautiful at the same time.
Yeah.
So.
And to build slightly off of that, if you have moved to a different country that doesn't speak your language, or more accurately, most likely, if you're listening to this, you are predominantly English speaking.
Yep.
If you interact with someone who does not speak English, kindness, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Because right now, learning all of these new things in a country that also speaks English everywhere is already fucking mind-boggling. And just because the words are slightly different, it feels confusing. Literally every contract from our cars to our lease, we've had to Google things, we've had to ask for clarifications,
Yep.
we've had to ask for so much fucking help. I cannot fathom the difficulty of this being in a different language and then everything being different. So if you as a person are like, well, if they come here, they should learn this language, fuck off.
Yeah, fuck you.
Have some fucking empathy, because if you have empathy for me or Callista in the sense of being like, wow, that sounds really hard, we have like a fraction of the difficulty because we do speak the same language to be able to like ask for help.
Totally.
And so like I cannot fathom the difficulty. And to be clear, I've always been really compassionate people who like English was not their first language and moved to the States.
Absolutely.
Because of the like Hispanic side of me. I grew up in that world of like being around like bilingual individuals. But like if you find yourself getting frustrated because someone doesn't speak the same language of them, remember that you have the advantage of this, and kindness goes a long fucking way. Because at no point have we met anyone here who we weren't sure about, that like we were like, I don't understand what that means. Like they do leases different here. And I asked the woman that was helping us with our lease, like, well, I'm so sorry. Like this is not common in the States. Like I don't understand this. And she was so kind. And that kindness makes a huge difference of whether or not you feel welcome. And if your point is to make people not feel welcome, then great. You've proven your point. You're also a piece of shit. And I don't think you need to listen to me. But if you're like, I like to think that I'm a kind person, do your best to offer the empathy of how scary it is, first off, to move to a completely different country and then have a language barrier.
Bro.
Because our language barrier is like, I don't know, fucking 10%, if even. And so to have a complete language barrier would be absolutely terrifying. I can't even like process it in my brain.
Totally.
But I have seen it so much in the States where people are like, they need to learn this language. No,
You're
stop
just
it.
an asshole.
Yes,
You're
stop
just
it.
a dickhead. Like, don't be fucking rude.
And if you want to argue about it, or if you feel like you need to talk, reach out to me personally. I will gladly talk you through
Excuse me.
those like points that you have that you're like, this is why. I will take the time out of my life to explain it to you gladly. Because like this genuinely, it's people's kindness that have made me feel like, okay, this is where you belong.
Totally.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So yeah, I think that's all of our questions that I've got.
So then the last part is, what's your win for the week?
My win for the week is driving. I have had a good time driving.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you so much.
You're doing so good.
Thank you. It's been very scary, and it's been very vulnerable as well. Because you know me, like I had Theo, that was my last car, and he was a coupe because I didn't want people to drive with me. I just don't like it. It's fucking terrifying to drive people around. It's just vulnerable. It's a vulnerable thing. And then on top of that, like now doing that with people in the car, because I honestly, frankly, need you guys to be in the car with me. And also on the opposite side of the road in kilometers, on the passenger side driving, trying to calculate the space of the left side instead of the right side
You
of
are
me.
really good about that, though.
Thank you.
There's not been a moment where I've been like,
There's
we're
been
too close.
the couple times when you're making those really tight left hand.
The turns
that's been
are a
rough.
bit weird. Yeah.
Yes, because it's like, oh, I don't know. Oh, it's got to be tighter. Like, oh, that's so weird.
Could I tell you then?
Yes.
I feel like in those moments I don't want to tell you because I don't want to freak you out.
Mm-hmm.
But I did see Caboose be like, you've got ample space over here. And I was like, maybe I should tell you that. Because you guys do take really wide left-hand turns.
Yeah, totally.
And I can only say you guys right now because I currently have not taken
Yeah.
a wide left-hand turn. I took a Yui, but I was also like, bitch, I'm going to take so many rights here.
For sure. Oh, yeah, because you mean lefts?
No, like turning,
Oh.
like into parking spaces. You guys like to do a left-hand turn to a parking space. And I'm
Yeah.
like, bro, I'm going to be taking I'm going to choose a right-hand parking space
So that way
every
you
time.
know the line and you
Yeah.
can see it totally. I think that's also force of habit, too.
Oh,
Yeah, that's probably
that
the
makes
reason why
sense.
we're taking a left-hand thing.
I'm like, you
Because
guys
I'm
are
still
choosing the hard option.
having to calculate, like visualizing my car in the space, and I'm like, I think, and it's like almost there. So
I mean, so far you've nailed it every time.
thank you, appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you. What's your win for the week?
My win for the week. Fuck, dude, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I'm just like vibing in life right now.
love that
Like
you're
I
vibing.
am.
You've been working out.
Yeah, I've been working out.
Mhm.
But otherwise, like I'm just like anytime I start to feel guilty, I guess that's my win for the week. Is anytime I start to feel guilty about not working, I keep telling myself like this is the longest you've been without work, but technically COVID was.
Yes, 100%.
Weirdly grateful for that. But
Very.
yeah, this is the second longest time I've been without work, but I know that it's because I wanted to build a life and not just react.
Yeah,
So that's been like
Absolutely.
great is to
And
like
you're responding-
actually, yeah, to like take care of myself and to be like, you know what? I just don't like milk.
Yeah.
My body doesn't like it. I don't like it. I don't like
over
your
it.
pus water. Like, I'm not trying to do that. And so, like, to now be like, I'm going, you know, obviously we're saving money. So it's hard for me to be like, can we please spend the extra money on soy milk?
Mm-hmm.
But to be like, no, I have to advocate for myself. And that's kind of the weird part, too, about like moving to a different place is being like, hey, because I don't have a car yet.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still like, we're trying to open the business before we spend the money on my car.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I need to make sure that, like, in the meantime, I'm learning to advocate and ask for help. Like, the other day, I had to ask you to make me toast because I was deathly ill from drinking milk,
Yep.
not hazelnut creamer by Coffee Mate.
Your long lost love.
Yes, that is my long lost love. That's it. I'm gonna get a fucking Coffee Mate
Dead ass.
hazelnut creamer tattoo.
It's a memorial
And people are
piece.
gonna be like, "What do you miss about the States?"
R.I.P.
Coffee Mate hazelnut creamer, and they're gonna be like, "You know, that's full of like toxic chemicals that give you cancer." I'm like, "Yeah."
100%. And man, do I miss my
Absolutely.
chemicals.
That's it. Yeah, I miss my cancer juice.
My cancer juice.
Yeah, I'm not saying it does, to be fair. But if it did,
It's delicious.
I would ask how
and worth
long
it.
I would have to drink it before it would.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just like really just still in a place of like my wins are like giving myself like grace to like do stuff I want. And then like trying to enjoy it. That being said, I didn't get to play Animal Crossing last night because guess who's on our fucking island? So then I had to fucking back out of the game
Who?
twice to system reset, and I tried to go back really far and it wouldn't let me because fucking KK Slider's on our island.
Oh,
And
shit.
so I was like, cool, I'll
we
get
say
some
hi.
shit done. No, I didn't want to watch the concert without you guys.
That's so sweet. We got to watch a concert.
So,
Thank you.
okay.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's so exciting.
So that's what we're going to do after we tipsily walk to the store to go get some sesame oil. But on that note, thank you guys so much. Please keep sending your questions. I'm loving the like random stuff and I'm trying my best to remember things that are different.
Yes.
So any question you have whatsoever, send it. I want to answer them.
We want to know.
This is great because it's shit that people didn't tell me. People told me coffee was great here. And they lied. And not a motherfucker told me coffee creamer didn't exist. And you can't tell me you're a coffee person and then not like coffee creamer.
Period. It is kind of
That's like saying that you like sex, but no lube.
weirdos. God.
Bye!